Yes, here we go. Hello and welcome to The Plays the Thing. My name's Matt, and in today's video I'm going to look at my top 5 favourite small box games. So I thought I would do this a little bit differently today. I'm going to sit here and show them to you, and we should get straight into it. This is in no particular order, by the way. This is just 5 of my favourite small games. So first we have Cartographers. Now, Cartographers is a role player game. I have a role player as well, which is definitely not a small box game. It has a lot of dice in it. Cartographers has no dice, and it has a really nice system where you're building up a map, filling in spaces on the map with different shapes as they're shown on cards that are drawn every turn. And I just really like it because you can play this solo, you can play it with other people, and you're all creating your own map. So you're trying to fill in your map with different shapes. What is one of my favourite mechanics in this is that every round, the things that you're scoring for, so you have an A, B, C and D edict card out, each with a different scoring underneath it, and then every round the scoring changes for that round. So it'll be like AB, then CD, then DA, or I can't really remember exactly, but it changes every round. So that's quite interesting because you're trying to build up each one of those scoring cards, but you might not score them every round. And then towards the end of the game, the last couple of rounds, you're not going to want to bother scoring something that isn't going to score again. So I really like that. Also, what I like about this game is there are ambush cards which have monsters on them. And in a solo game, you have to put them down randomly according to a little figure on top of the card. But in a multiplayer game, you have to hand your map to the person next to you, and then they put the monster, which is in a certain shape, onto your map, and they're going to want to do it in the most annoying place for you, where it's hardest to fill in. And that's a really nice mechanic in this game, because otherwise there would be no sort of proper interaction, but that adds a bit of interaction for a multiplayer game. So I really like that. So that's my first small box game that I would recommend, Cartographers Role Player Tale. And number 2 on my list is the game that actually has several boxes potentially. It's a little like Final Girl in that respect. It has a core box, and then it has extra boxes that go with that give you your players to play with. So you need at least one of these. And this is Paperback Adventures. And I have one of the your people that you can play, which is Damsel. There are several others as well. I have a couple of them, and they all play very differently. But basically, the mechanic in this game is that you have a deck of cards which all have letters on them, and all the letters have certain powers depending on which way you play them. And you play them by making words up. So you're having to create words. And if you play them left or right, they give you different powers. And it's a really interesting mechanic. And when you do that, you're trying to defend against a monster or attack a monster. This is a solo-only game, but as I've said in my review of my top 5 solo games, this is a benefit if you are a solo player because it works really well as a solo game. The actual bosses that you're attacking are very simple to use, and everything that they have to do is clearly laid out in front of you. So I really like that. It's really interesting as well, this mechanic, because you're obviously trying to make words. So you might see a word that pops out at you, but it's not necessarily going to give you the things that you want to do, that you need to do on that round to stop the boss. So you have to, you're never making super long words, but you have to kind of work out what is a word that I can play that will help me. And I really love that. I also love that the bosses change. So you go through a kind of almost campaign. So you can stop after one boss and put the game away and then put it out again. It has a system for doing that, which isn't too complicated. And so the bosses can be very different, are very different. And I really like that about this game as well. It has a lot of variability in it. Also, what I love is that there is a way of buying new cards. So every time you defeat a boss, there's benefits that you get from defeating that boss, which is kind of a standard mechanic. But you get to remove some cards from your deck, perhaps, and add new letters into your deck. And it's a really interesting mechanic because you're trying to work out what will help you make good words, and also what, if there's any, if you can buy an S, that's really useful because, extending words can be very useful like that. So I really love this game. I think it's a really good solo game, and it comes in a really small box, although there are a few of them. So my third game is something that I've reviewed already, so I won't go on too long about it. And I guess this is a small box, but it's a card game, and that's Sea Salt and Paper. I'll put a link to my review, but this is definitely my #1 card game, and it comes in a very small box. So I had to put it on this list. It immediately came into my mind when I was compiling this list. And I think also, as I said, I played this a lot on BGA. I'm playing it in arena matches as well. And I just think it's a really great card game. I have quite a few friends I've played this with, and some friends that I'm going to UK Games Expo, they asked me to bring this. So it's just one of those card games that I think it is really, really impressive. So that is my third game. Go and watch the review if you would like to. My fourth game on my list is a game that I got at a tiny little convention in London for Zatu Games, which is a company that sells games in this country. And it is called Rustling Leaves. Now, Rustling Leaves has some similarity to Cartographers because you have a map and you're filling that map in with certain shapes. But where this differs from Cartographers is that this is about nature. So you're trying to get certain collections of certain things, be they animals, birds, plants, in certain groups to score points. And the way that the shapes are selected in this is by rolling 2 die. So they have little pips on them, and depending on how many numbers of pips are on both those dies, that determines the shape that you're going to put on your map. Also, Rustling Leaves, one of the things that's really lovely about this game is that in the box, there are 4 separate seasons. So you have 4 separate maps, and each of those maps represents the 4 seasons. And so there are different scoring criteria for each of them. So it's like having 4 separate games, really, in one box. And it's just really cute. The art is really lovely. It has that feel of those sort of games like Cascadia and Harmony, where it's just a pleasant game to play, and it gives you a pleasant feeling even if you're not scoring too well. And whenever I've played this with people, it's gone down really well. It's just a really nice little filler game. Really, I guess it would take 20 to 30 minutes to play. And I just think it's a really decent game of this sort of type. So I would recommend it, Rustling Leaves. And then my 5th game that I am going to recommend is a tiny epic game. And I think this is probably one of the highest rated of the tiny epic games. And it is Tiny Epic Galaxies. This is great. It's a quite big game in a small box. There is a lot in here. It also plays solo. There's a solo mode in the box and a multiplayer mode. I think it works best at multiplayer. This is probably the biggest game that I've shown you in the smallest box. And just everything about this is well done. The art is really nice. The cards are really nice. There are a lot of dice in this and they're really great. All the little wooden meeples are lovely. It's just a really nice game. I don't think I'm too good at this game, but I really like it. I think it's a really, really decent game that just happens to be in a very, very small box. I even like the fact that the lid is the dice tray. So when you've got all the components out and all the cards, you can just flip the top of the lid, and because you're rolling lots of die, use it as a dice tray. And it's got a nice little bit of artwork in there. I just think this is a really great game. So that is my top 5 small box games at the moment. If you've played any of these, please do comment below and let me know. Let me know what your favourite small box game is. And please like and subscribe. I would love you to follow me on my journey. Hopefully I'll take some videos at the UK Games Expo, and also I will be hopefully buying some games which I will be playing obviously on my channel. So thank you very much for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Do 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 do.